sounds cool. But speaking of wine, because I think you said viticulture.
Yeah.
Yeah. Welcome everyone to the Friendly Skies podcast. This is Matt, and we have Brian Branco, my friend and ex-coworker, who is has a really cool job now, and he's going to explain what he's doing now. But this episode's all about winemaking, which I'm very interested in, and I have also co-host Leah.
Hello.
So, yeah. Hi, Leah. Yeah, there you go. Leah's gonna also be asking some questions. She's my girlfriend. We live together. I don't know.
I really like wine.
Yeah, we all like wine. But actually, Brian has taught me quite a bit, actually, which I will say later. But yeah, so welcome, Brian.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Yeah, so I'm Brian. I used to work with Matt, and it was a good time. There's a lot of good people at the job.
Yeah.
But I've always liked wine and winemaking. My dad kind of forced me into it. So now I'm in Walla Walla, Washington, and I'm on my second harvest. Literally waiting for fruit to come in at the winery. Well, not today because it's a ton of smoke here, but just I guess working in winemaking and studying at a school here for enology and viticulture. Manage a few rows of vines at a vineyard here, and yeah, it's just a good time. I know some stuff about wine, I guess.
You definitely do.
Yeah, and I like to drink it too. So yeah.
We're actually. Yeah, no, man, I'm super excited. I know a lot of other people are probably going to want to talk to you after they see this episode, but I'm glad that we get to do this right now on a Saturday night. But we're actually in Lanzarote, which I actually have no idea what that is, but this is Tenerife in Spain. So where are we right now, Brian, actually?
So this is the Canary Islands.
Okay.
The Canary Islands. Matt had asked me... he asked me, what's a cool vineyard or somewhere to fly, and I told him these vineyards in the Canary Islands look pretty crazy. They look like they're on another planet almost, like they're just vines planted on like craters. It's pretty crazy. I've never been there, so I don't know where exactly to fly, but I'm hoping we can just see like the craziness because it's a volcanic region. So
yeah, I see it right behind us, the volcanoes. Yep.
Yeah.
And we'll fly over Lanzarote here for a little bit while we talk, and then we're gonna fly towards Tenerife, right, Brian? You want to do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's nearby. I'll just tell a quick story. Is that Brian? I love Malbec. I'm from Argentina, and I would just buy Malbecs. And Brian had explained to me how Malbecs, and he's pretty much right. They all kind of taste the same. And he's like, why don't you just try it? Not all the same, but like, he's like, why don't you try a different wine? And like a Chianti, which I used to say wrong on purpose just to make people mad. But I'm saying it right now, Chianti. And you told me to get like a Rufino, which was a little pricier for my taste. It wasn't actually that expensive, but I'm cheap. But it was awesome. And I was like, okay, like there's actually different wines out there. And like, then we talked about French wines.
Yeah, I don't hate Malbec. I think Malbec's actually really cool. Malbec sometimes has like this kind of aroma of olive that I love in wines. But I think a lot of people kind of restrict themselves to wines, and I don't know, wine just has like this douchebaggy kind of thing about it that everybody just kind of sticks to their one wine or a few wines, and they don't want to ask and figure out so many wines. And you go to the store and there's like 6 grape varieties to choose from, but in the the scheme of things, like there's over thousands different grape varieties. Like I'm Portuguese, and just in Portugal there's over 300 indigenous varieties that like no one knows about, and they're all really distinct and unique and really cool, and it sucks because you won't get to try them, and they're all really different. And and so, like, Malbec's really cool. I love some Malbec, but I don't know. I was thinking of.
But they do kind of taste a lot of them very similar, which is probably why I like buying them.
Malbec. Malbec's really like approachable in the mouth. and then it's got like this like plumminess, this distinct plumminess, got some violet aromas, and then it's kind of got it really responds well to oak. And when it's grown in like cooler climates, I like how it can take on this kind of black olive aroma as well. But yeah, I mean, it just depends. Malbec exploded like 15 years ago, you know, and so like you just got a ton of like people jumping on the bandwagon and making Malbec. And whenever that happens with anything, like that happened with Pinot a long time ago, it's just harder to find like legit wines at lower prices.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to ask you, and Leah, I know you have a couple questions. So if you want to jump into, because I know Leah likes, I think we like similar wines, but she likes different wines. I want to ask you, like, I feel like you're living the dream, kind of like. I think that's Leah's dream too. Is just like live on a vineyard, but like
it is. It really truly is a dream I have.
But Leah, why don't you ask some questions you have, and I'll ask later.
Well, I just thought it was funny because when you guys were talking, because when you and I first started dating, you only got Malbec for the life. You'd always get Malbec, and I think you actually talked about Brian. And now I'm putting it together. Yeah. When we were getting wine, you're like, "Oh, my friend Brian told me to get this kind and this kind."
I just don't get the French ones; they're too pricey.
But you said, Brian, you said you got into it because of your dad. What happened there? How'd that go?
Yeah. So, I come from a Portuguese family. My parents moved here when they're like in their 30s from northern Portugal, and my dad used to be a grape grower. He didn't make wine. Well, he would make wine at home, but he didn't have a winery or anything. He would sell a lot of the grapes to cooperatives. And so when he came here, he'd make wine, kind of in like the basement and stuff, and he would have me do stuff. And I always just like kind of was wondering about everything, like why certain things were happening. And then, just kind of got into it more each year. And then I worked at a wine shop for a bit, and I just kind of got obsessed with it. And I would just read a lot of books about it, and I don't know, I just talked too much about it, as Matt knows, and then, and then, I don't know, I got really into Portuguese wine too, and that kind of like showed me how crazy the world is, and it's crazy because like I was saying before, kind of wine at the beginning, like it's just kind of restrictive, like or it has this wall. You're like almost feel like it's a club you shouldn't be let into, and the way like some sommeliers perceive it, which first of all, I'm not a sommelier. I don't hate on sommeliers. Some of them are cool, but I'm into winemaking, you know, and I like other aspects of wine as well, but don't ask me about wine and food pairings because I don't really care for that. But it
can be intimidating. I know what you mean. It's intimidating. Like I've always kind of, whenever people start talking about wine, I'm kind of like, well, I like this and I like that, because you know I feel like I'm under the radar, not really understanding the nuances.
Yeah, exactly. And there's just like all these terms and everything, and so with wine, really what it got down to is just I noticed that all those fancy terms are just synonyms for like way easier terms, and people just want to sound cool. And now I don't know, I just kind of know some stuff about wine, and I'm here in Walla Walla, and
well, I was going to ask you, you know, basically what it's like and what do you do. But before you talk about that, I'm gonna speed over to Tenerife shortly. But is there anything
awesome, man?
Yeah, it looks pretty cool, right? This is actually mapped from satellite data. So is there anything that looks like a vineyard down here, or is it all vineyards? Is everyone just growing wine over here, grapes? I don't know what they're doing.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me see.
Definitely looks like volcano land over here.
It's hard to tell.
Yeah. If this shit's the bed, we can always just go to Walla Walla, and I can tell you like all the vineyards to go to. But Tenerife, like I really hope it can catch a good glimpse of the winery, because it's spectacular. Like if you just go on like Google Images and check out Canary Islands vineyards, it's like it's unreal. So, and the wines are really interesting too when you're tasting them. So, that's what initially made me curious.
Well, we're gonna fly to Tenerife right
Yeah.
now, and hopefully it shouldn't take too long to get there because I'm speeding along now with time acceleration.
Okay. Cool.
But so we're gonna see a lot of blue for a second.
Yeah.
But,
So, I guess you asked what I'm doing now.
yeah. Like, what's it like to work, like, on a vineyard and making wine? Because that sounds like a dream job.
So, I'll give you, I guess, kind of a breakdown of what I've been doing. So, I'm in this enology and viticulture program, and the first year, I worked at a winery here. Like, you don't have to really work at a winery because the school has a winery. But I worked at a winery for the harvest that is primarily a Syrah producer.
Mm-hmm.
So Syrah is a big grape here in this region, and so that was really cool. But then I also made wine at the school, and at the school we have a lot of partnerships with big wineries around the area. It just it's really, we're grateful that we get all the fruit we do, and I got to make a Syrah, a Cab Franc, and a Riesling, dry Riesling.
I love Riesling. I'm a big Gewürztraminer. I can never say it.
Yeah.
Gewürztraminer. I love that kind.
Yeah, Gewürztraminer is awesome.
Yeah,
no, you said it kind of right. And so, yeah, made those, and it's really cool at the school because you can kind of just figure out your own plan. So, for example, for the Syrah, we went 100% whole cluster, so we didn't destem anything. We went for a native ferment, so no cultured yeast, just a spontaneous fermentation with the yeast that was on the grapes and in the winery.
And for people out there that don't know, like, what does it mean for, like you said, destemming? Is that like a special thing that a lot of?
Yes. Well, so when you have a grape cluster, like let's say you have a grape cluster in your hand, a bunch of little berries. If you remove all the berries, by your hand, that would be, the old-fashioned way of destemming grapes. But there's machines now for that, and so with certain grape varieties, they take on, like if you include the stems and don't destem anything in the fermentation, some of the grape varieties take that on better than other ones. So, for example, a whole stem fermentation, whole cluster fermentation, you would do with probably like Syrah, Pinot Noir, Gamay, Mourvèdre, Grenache, whereas you would not do it with Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, Petit Verdot, Cabernet Franc. And so you can choose to do it however you want. So like at the winery I was working at, we did with sometimes like 50% whole cluster. For my little project at the school, I decided to do 100% whole cluster. And they really add this cool, like, just kind of freshness to the wine, a little bit of like this spiciness, a little bit of like an herbal flavor. They kind of lower the alcohol a bit, and they provide little channels for the juice to go through. And it's really cool. And we foot stomped it as well. So really old school. Yeah. And so, yeah, you can do that with that. I don't even know where I was going with this, but yeah, so I did the first year, and the first years at school is primarily viticulture. After you make the wines, so a lot of viticulture classes, a lot of soil classes, plant classes.
I don't even know what viticulture is.
Yeah, so viticulture is just growing vines, wine growing.
Okay.
It's just, and enology. If I say that, that's just winemaking. So like, yeah, if you hear that, that's all it is. And so, yeah, the first year is that, and then you also manage. What's really cool about the program is you manage a certain amount of vines. So I got 5 rows of Merlot, and there's about 44 vines each row, and you start out by pruning them in the winter, and you decide, like, so we're spur pruning. And so each arm of the vine, there's two arms, and you're basically pruning to a certain bud count to kind of I guess plan out the yields to come in for the year.
And
And so I
pruning
went.
means specifically, like, what do you mean by pruning?
So you're like cutting off the dead wood, like that brown wood that's from the previous year.
Okay.
And so like each little cane will hold a cluster.
Okay.
It's kind of, I guess I wish I had visuals here, but
That's
so
all right. I'm gonna fly through a vineyard right now. Like we'll just
and so
drive through it.
yeah,
Literally.
so you gotta cut at the right time to make sure you're not getting frost that will potentially kill the vine. But anyways, we do that. We and then we're managing the vine up until right now when the grapes are ripening, and then the next year of students, they harvest the grapes themselves. This is what I did last year, and then they make the wine. And so it's really cool to see the grapes like just go through everything from like flowering and pollinating, to fruit set, to changing color, which is veraison, and like the sugar spiking, the acids dropping. It's been really cool to see, and then just seeing like all the berries kind of swell up and be ready. And my berries are probably gonna be ready for harvesting in a couple weeks, and just testing out the sugar levels, testing out the acid levels. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Oh, that's pretty cool, man.
Anyways, yeah,
Wow.
that was so it's all different classes. So I was at this last semester was sensory analysis. So it's not just winemaking and viticulture. There's a lot of wine tasting classes as well. And then
Oh, how horrible.
yeah,
That's amazing.
yeah. So there was a really cool class, Wines of the World. That was a cool class. And so then there was advanced viticulture management, which was my last class of viticulture. And then there's like science of winemaking, like 1 and 2. And so the next year will be all like winemaking and everything. But for the first, let's see if we can go over those volcanoes, like over them or something. They're like craters, so hopefully we can see them.
I feel like we're seeing vineyards here too, right? We are passing over some.
I'm seeing some stuff, but they're like circles. So I'm hoping that I can
circles.
See
okay,
Yeah.
then we'll do that.
But,
so what is the goal to try to get the grapes at? Is it just some sort? Is it different for each type of wine you're trying to produce?
Yeah, for sure. So it depends, if you want to make rosé, if you want to make white wine, if you want high acid, if you want kind of more of a riper style, it really depends. Because right now, like current situation in September, what is it? 12th. Right now, people are trying to decide on their pick dates. When are we going to pick the grapes? Because the sugars can go up a little bit too much, and sugar is going to be converted to alcohol, and then the acids will start dropping, and you kind of want to find a good balance, because right now the sugars might be around, like, let's say 23 brix. And so brix, for anybody who doesn't know, is kind of the measurement of sugar in the grapes, and you times that by about 0.6 for white grapes and 0.55-ish for red grapes, and you'll get your estimated alcohol percentage. And then the acids will start to drop now, and so you're really trying to find a balance between like the right amount of alcohol and the right amount of acid to get really a good structure on your wine. And so that's where we're at right now. But anyways, from August to December, I work at a winery for the second year, and it's kind of like your apprenticeship or internship. And so I'm working at a cool winery here that's got like a little bit of like some history in the region, and a little bit different than the Syrah producer I was at. This producer makes more Bordeaux varieties, so like Cabernet, Merlot, Petit Verdot, and then some. We also get some Pinot and Chardonnay from the Willamette Valley. So with these fires, we're a little bit worried about them.
Yeah, there's So what's the situation with the fires over there? It's
yeah.
for people that don't watch the news.
Yeah, so obviously the fires are big deal right now in Oregon and California, and in Walla Walla right now in Washington. They're not really like affecting us in terms of burning the vineyards or anything, but we've got a big smoke cloud here, and so it's kind of made the air quality really really bad. But the Willamette Valley grapes that we're worried about, obviously we're worried about the fire taking them out altogether, but we are worried about smoke taint.
Right.
And smoke taint can kind of ruin a wine. It'll penetrate the berry and kind of create these like ashtray aromas. And
Mhm.
so,
Oh no.
yeah, and it will really like mask the fruit. And so I've already seen a couple wineries in like Napa and in California that harvest workers have had to go home or try to find a new internship because all their grapes have been affected by smoke taint. And so that's kind of what we're worried about. Hopefully, it doesn't affect the vineyards there. And so that's exactly where I'm at right now. We're cleaning up the winery, kind of getting it ready, making sure no microbes are living or in the winery. It's spick and span, so it's just clean fermentations, and there's no possible issues with the wine, because winemaking is really that you're just trying to like guide the grapes to a successful fermentation, because
Right.
everybody always says this, the wine's made in the vineyard, but if you have a really good vineyard and a really good I guess vineyard management team, you'll have great grapes and you don't have to really do much in the
Right.
winery other than just not fuck it up.
Right.
Yeah.
I have to apologize that this plane is having a hard time with the hills here. But
I was nervous we were getting so close.
yeah, it's the altitude here above sea level is a little high. But are we flying towards that, Brian? Because I saw a couple things on the top of the mountains here.
Let's go towards that, and then if we don't find it, we can just go back to Walla Walla.
Okay.
This does look really cool, man. Like, I'm just so surprised that this is a real thing, that you can do this.
Oh yeah. It's this is the best thing next to actually flying here in real life.
It's beautiful. It's so beautiful.
Yeah. Are you guys drinking any wine?
We don't have any right now.
We don't have any right now.
We're due to go shopping soon.
This is great for a winemaking episode. Literally drinking iced coffee.
Don't tell him that. Oh, too loud.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. Next episode we'll definitely get we'll definitely pound a couple bottles.
Yeah.
Ryan, what's your favorite type of wine? What do you like to drink the most?
Yeah, it's tough because like I really appreciate like every wine, for what it is, but the wines I typically go for, it's like I really like Syrah. When I can find like a really savory style of Syrah, kind of get those like peppery and like meaty aromas. That's what I like really fell in love with. I like Cab Franc from the Loire Valley. So really like herbal, kind of like tomato leaf, kind of peppery, like green pepper, red fruit driven. And then kind of like also, again, more on the herbal and savory side, kind of that mushroomy Pinot Noir. There's some examples in Willamette Valley. And then for whites, I like anything that kind of has like a brininess. And then, so like some dry Rieslings I also like it has that like zingy acidity, some of that minerality. And yeah, those are kind of like the ones I go for. Or also, like I'll love Chateauneuf de Pape, Chablis, Portuguese wines, obviously, so Touriga Nacional. But yeah, usually Syrah or Cab Franc. If those are available, I'll typically go to those.
I love that you said savory or peppery Syrah, like the mushroomy and peppery. I'm like, yes. You must like spicy food because I love anything peppery.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even that it's just like I like spicy food. It's just I think when you start out drinking wine, you get a lot of wines like that are just available that are just like fruit and oak dominant. And so when you get introduced to like something that has like another layer of complexity, kind of like a little bit of a savoriness, or like, you know, as people say, like minerality or like weird stuff going on, you get just interested. And those are the reasons I got really into Syrah. Because if you have cool climate Syrah, you'll get these crazy aromas, and that's why I really like them.
Yeah. So we definitely didn't make it up the mountain because this plane.
See that?
Yeah.
This plane can't do it.
Sorry, man. Do you want to go back to Walla Walla?
Yeah, we're gonna.
It was a valiant effort. I mean, A for effort.
Yeah, let's fly to Walla Walla. Okay, we're gonna take a little detour here.
Yeah. But
Brian, can you recommend a peppery Syrah? I really want to just write it down real quick. I'm gonna go because we're gonna go shopping tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because you said one. You said one.
Sorry. I did. Maybe.
Oh, it's okay. If you don't have a name,
how do you spell Walla Walla, by the way?
Google it tonight.
Well, where do you usually go to buy wine?
We just go to the liquor store. I mean, I'm just gonna Google the shit out of it later. Just peppery Syrah, and I'm just gonna get a bunch.
Or just go to the interesting thing about Syrah is, right, it's the same grape as Shiraz. So do you know Shiraz?
I mean, yes, I've definitely drank it.
Yeah, so Shiraz is the same grape, but it's in Australia. So if you want that kind of savory style, don't get Shiraz because it's kind of a little bit more, a little more oak on it, a little more jammy, a little higher alcohol, less savory. So if you get anything that's Syrah, it will have a little more pepperiness to it. But I would say get anything from the Northern Rhone. Or get anything from Walla Walla. If you can get anything, I'm trying to think of things that are like available, because Syrah is not as like available as a Cabernet or a Pinot. And so if you can find a Syrah from, you know, Walla Walla, or the Northern Rhone region of France, let's see, I'm trying to think anywhere else. California, it's kind of tough because you could find some from Paso Robles, but they're pretty pricey. Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you. I'll look for Walla Walla.
Yeah, or Northern Rhone. If you can get something from Saint Joseph, that's a really cool region, or Crozes Hermitage. I don't know. I could like write them out or something, but those are exciting areas. And it's really cool because you'll get like, so one of the areas in Walla Walla that kind of got me interested about Walla Walla was when I was working at the wine shop. There was this like little side premium list, and we had a few wineries on there from Walla Walla that were from the Rocks District. And so the Rocks District is this little region here, and it's is that Walla Walla?
That is Walla Walla Regional.
Oh yeah. All right. But anyways, the Rocks District is just full of rocks, and it's an ancient riverbed of the Walla Walla River, and everything that comes out of there, that grows out of there, especially Syrah, because Syrah is just kind of a chameleon. Anywhere it grows, it will just kind of express itself more than any other grape. It's really cool. And so when it comes out of the Rocks District in the Walla Walla AVA, it will give off these crazy aromas of like cured meats and like olives and just like, you know, pepperiness, and it's just really interesting. And it's super soft too because the pHs are like high, like hovering around 4. And I can go into like, I guess the really interesting things about it later, but if you can get something from Walla Walla, it'll be really interesting, especially from the Rocks District. So if not, you can order online. I always tell people, like, it's getting colder now, get it from wine.com.
Oh, wine.com. There you go.
Yeah. Wine.com is actually a really good site to get wine. So,
yeah. So Brian, we're taking off from Walla Walla Regional. Where should I fly to?
Okay, so let's see. There's a bunch of vineyards we could go to. So you could go to Figgins Vineyard.
Okay.
So Figgins Estate Vineyard, and that's, well, whatever. I'll just say it now. That's one of my winery's vineyards, and it's a really spectacular vineyard. It's like overseeing.
I'm gonna have my co-host Leah look that up and tell me in relation to Walla Walla Regional, what direction that is.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Say it again. What is it?
Figgins Vineyard, Figgins Estate Vineyard. So Figgins. And then another one, if you did want to see the rocks, is this like present day, the satellite?
Yes, this is present day satellite imagery.
Okay, perfect. You could also go to the Rocks District, and I could tell you a few vineyards there. So let's try Figgins Estate Vineyard first.
Do you want
Figgins.
just the address of it?
Yeah. Right.
2900. Oh, tell me when you're ready. For the address.
It's not 2900 Melrose. It's
No?
on let me see.
So
Family
just a
Estate.
disclaimer here, because I can't
Oh,
put addresses. If you look on Google Maps in relation to
Okay.
Walla Regional.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
could
so I
look it up
got
too.
it. It's I think it's 3917 Mill Creek Road. And sorry to cut you off, Leah. That's just
no.
that's where the winery's located.
So Leah, put that address into Google Maps in relation to the regional airport.
Okay.
I bet Leah didn't know she was going to be the navigator here. Does this
And I'm
look?
the worst person to be doing this too.
Why does Walla Walla look like the movie Dune right now?
So Walla Walla it's like a desert.
Oh, okay. That explains
Because
that.
the people associate, like, when I tell them I'm in like the Washington-Oregon border, people are like, isn't it like rainy there? Why do they grow grapes there? But there's actually, the Cascade Mountains block all the rain, and it barely rains here. I think the last time it rained was like 2 months ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
That can't be good for the winemaking, can it? Or
Well,
is it perfect?
It stops raining at the perfect time for grape growing.
Oh, okay.
So it stops raining, as the grapes are kind of maturing, and we want to stress the grapes from once they start changing color to like once they're kind of swelling up, and a lot of that rain comes in the off season.
So after
Brian, can I interrupt?
Yeah.
real quick?
Yeah.
Was it the 3917 Mill Creek that was the right address
Yeah.
for Figgins? So you're 8 minutes away from
by
the
car,
airport.
because that's very different than
From the
plane.
airport. Yeah, it's by car, of course. You're right. It's pretty much right next to it. So it's going to be east.
East. Okay.
Yes, it's going to be east of the airport.
East of the airport. Okay, so let me turn around here.
So it's going to be south of Coppei, Coppei.
Is there a huge highway? Because I see a highway east of the airport. See on the map here? On my map?
Yeah,
there
Highway
is.
12 or 125.
Yeah.
What's in relation to that highway?
It's east of 125.
East of 125. All right, I don't know what my plane is doing, so I'm going to take it off autopilot and we'll just fly manually here. So, Brian, after you get out of school, are you basically doing what you would be doing for your career right now, basically as an apprentice?
Kind of. I mean, I would want to make a lot more of the decisions, so I eventually want to become...
Like which grape will die first?
Yeah, exactly.
Choose which grapes.
What is this, Game of Thrones?
Yeah.
So yeah, eventually assistant winemaker, then winemaker. I don't know, having your own winery is really expensive, but what I would like is to be, a winemaker or assistant winemaker at a winery, and then have like a small side label of wines that I maybe sell, to just I don't know, like maybe 1,000 case production.
Right.
And see how that goes, and then have that be with like a little experimentation with some of the grapes I really like that I was mentioning, and then make the wines for the winery that I'm working at, and I don't know, just enjoy life. It's been really cool to make this change. So
I mean, I was really happy for you when I heard about it. And like, what's your day to day like then? Do you is it most of it spent outside?
Well, kind of, yeah. So right now, it's not all like glamorous because winemaking, like I said before, a lot of it's like cleaning and moving wine, or like because the grapes aren't in yet for us. Like for
Right.
some other wineries that maybe are making sparkling or even some rosés or Sauvignon Blanc or something, those grapes are starting to come in.
Right.
But we're waiting on Chardonnay and Pinot Noir for rosé specifically.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so we've been cleaning tanks, steaming barrels
That
to
doesn't
like kill.
sound. That doesn't sound too glamorous. Cleaning tanks.
No, cleaning steel, stainless steel tanks.
Yeah. Is this, by the way, is
Steaming.
this a vineyard here? No.
Let me see. Oh, so how close are we to it?
I mean, we're where Leah's saying. I mean, there's a highway here.
Okay, so
And yeah.
yeah, I'll talk about that in a second. Let me talk about,
Okay.
I guess, the vineyards here. So
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
area that we're gonna go to, it's pretty cool. It's called Mill Creek. It's kind of overlooking the valley. And the vineyard specifically is it's amazing. It was planted in '04. The first vintage was in '08, and it's planted to Cabernet, Merlot, and Petit Verdot. And then there's a half acre of Riesling also. It was too cold for Merlot. It was kind of next to the hill. Maybe you can see it after. And it was kind of ripening slower than everything else. And so
Right.
planted a half acre of Riesling, and so make some dry Riesling out of that too. And it's just really an amazing vineyard. It's high elevation for the valley. It's 1750, the highest point where the Cabernet is, and the lowest point is 50 and 100 feet.
Mm-hmm.
And so it kind of like evens out the ripening a little bit. Like the sugars don't spike. And also the other thing here is like in this area, the really cool thing that really helps the grapevines is these like crazy diurnal shifts. So like it can get really, really high temperature, like 95, 100 degrees, and then it goes down like 40 degrees at night.
Oh
So
wow.
the grapevines kind of like have some time to rest, like it's like they're like people. They're like giving it all. They're all like during the day, and then
Right.
they just like kind of chill. And so like and then there are other regions like some parts of California where it's just so hot all day that the grapevines are just huffing and puffing by the end of the harvest, and like you really see it in the wines because they're like lacking acidity, and they're just kind of flabby,
Right.
and the sugars are really high, but the flavors didn't get there. So they're like these high alcohol kind of fruit bombs, but they didn't develop this kind of like complexity in the flavor profile,
And so, what type of wine? And by the way, we're flying east now because I was flying west, so that was my bad. But
Yeah.
what type of wine? So hopefully, once we're gonna start passing over some of the vineyards. Before I ask you what type of wine that you make over there in Walla Walla in your vineyard, what town is this? Is this just? Do you recognize this?
Let me see.
Do you recognize like that building there? Is that the church you go to there?
No. I think it's Walla Walla, but I honestly I can't tell. I mean, I've only lived here for almost 2 years, so I mean, I actually feel like I know a lot of it, but from aerial view now, I don't feel like it.
Well, when I buy a Cesna, man, we're flying over this.
Yeah,
Everything
you guys
looks
got
different from up here. It all looks different. It's so confusing.
you guys gotta well.
I told you I
obviously,
have to
this
come
whole
up there
COVID thing.
I have to come up
Yeah.
and visit you. Yeah, with Leah, of
Yeah.
course. I'm drinking
Yeah.
all the wine though. So what type of wine do they make over there? What type of wine are you making right now? Like you said, and apologies if you said this already because I was busy not trying to crash into a volcano, but
Yeah.
Yes,
And sorry for anybody watching if they're really interested in the flight part because I probably
trust me, no
fucked
one
it
is.
up for Matt.
No one is.
Um,
Oh no, my flights have been disasters, and we're definitely landing on a highway soon. But don't worry about it.
Well, see if you can land on the vineyard. That'd be cool.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So, are you saying like which which area? I mean, which type of wines I'm making now?
Yeah, just what type of wines you're making now, and just keep an eye out to see if we're passing the vineyards that Leah said to fly east of the airport on the highway here. We should be seeing. You said there was like literally 8 minutes away, Leah. So.
Yeah, it was directly east of the airport. The highway isn't exactly directly east, but I think you'll see it.
Could you go by street names? Because if you follow Isaac's Ave and you just go straight up, that will get you there. So I think we're going past it. I think we're getting there.
See.
Okay. Well, that's good news. I feel like we're right here.
It's so like Mill Creek Road.
What about this up here? I gotta be honest, man. There's I see a lot of desert around this area.
So Route 12 is right off of Walla Walla Airport, and then right off of Route 12 is Mill Creek Road, where this place is.
Walla Walla Regional.
Walla Walla Regional, yes.
Okay, we must be here then.
So
we should just pretend and be like, oh yeah, this is the vineyard that Brian works at there.
But it's a circle. We're supposed to find a circle.
It's a circle.
And the buildings sometimes the buildings kind of look like Monopoly pieces, and sometimes they're really detailed, so you can't really tell.
Well, let's fly a little higher.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can get, because I feel like we're right on top of it, and I'll go external view if we need to. Because that is so that's the regional airport over there. I'm pointing. You can't see me. This is a big circle over here.
Wait, so right in front of us is the regional airport?
Yeah. And
so maybe that circle is it.
No, it's not a circle. It's not right there, but
So if this is the airport, Leah,
it's near the airport though.
Okay. Leah, so you got a compass up here. So there is a highway south of the airport, a big highway.
Can you just, if I give you directions and just tell you to follow a road, could you do that?
Potentially, depending on what Leah's looking at on Google Maps.
Oh.
Because Leah, I don't know if you could watch the stream and Google Maps at the same time. Because I will drive on the highway with this thing. I don't care.
I think you want to go to the left, right? I mean, don't you want to go towards the east?
Okay.
I'm again terrible with directions, so I'm the worst person to be doing this right now.
I may just pause this for a second to double check Leah's work here.
Oh God, I'm not being tested tonight.
I'm gonna double check your work right now because I feel like we're close. So if I just pause this, the plane will literally stay in the air. There you go.
Oh.
So.
Oh my gosh, it's literally floating.
Yep. Okay, so give me the address here, Brian.
Oh, it's 3917 Mill Creek Road.
Milk Creek Road?
No, mill.
Like a mill.
Oh, Mill Creek.
Like a windmill. Yep.
Yep. Road.
Yeah.
In Washington, right?
Yeah. Walla Walla.
Walla Walla. Okay. Okay, I got it here. People can see the Google map here. It's okay if we reveal this location, Brian?
Yeah, it's fine.
You don't have any stalkers or anything?
Nah.
Okay.
And I don't care. They can come for me. I'm ready.
All right. Come
last words.
Don't. So Leah, you are correct.
Oh, boom.
I hope you're correct.
Oh no, I spoke too soon with my boom.
No, Mill Creek Road. Yeah, so I think we're flying over it. Let me just double check here. Let's see here. So if I go here, and then let me just look at the airport orientation here. Okay, just remember this. Okay, the V, you're not seeing this, but this is okay, got it. Okay, yeah, we're right there.
Nice.
So I think, let's see here, there's a little curvy river. Okay, let me see if I can find it here. Curvy little river. What's a landmark? This map sucks.
Let's see.
We're really close to it, man. Like, I think I'm not there yet, actually. I think I'm almost there.
trying to see. Hold
Yeah,
on.
I'm almost there. All right. If Brian, I'm going to get you closer here.
Yeah.
If I have to drive on roads, I will do it.
Nice. I'm excited.
Because I've done that before.
The Crossroad is 7 Mile Road. 7 Mile Road is Crossroad, right where you would want to see the vineyard.
There's a little river here. We'll do a slow motion here. There you go, slow motion. Even slower motion.
Wow. Look at all those wheat fields.
Yeah, it's so cool. It's so beautiful out there. My God.
So Brian, we're right in the area.
Yeah.
Let's see here. I could fly a little further. This is definitely Mill Creek Road, by the way. This road right here. This road is definitely Mill Creek Road. Let me speed it up here. If not, we'll just fly back the other way.
I think we're getting there.
Yeah, I think you're going the right direction, actually.
It's definitely the right direction. I just don't know if I passed it or not, but we'll do a little slow-mo here.
Is this not it? Right here on the left?
I think that's it. Wait.
You think that might be it?
It's hard to tell with...
I will get right in there if you need me to, man. You just say the word. We'll land on it.
Let's see.
Want me to fly back there?
No, keep going. I think it's there, right there. See, right there. I think that's it. It's like a bunch of trees leading up to there. Oh, right there. It's on the left. I'm pretty sure. That area. You see that little block? Those blocks? That's all the blocks of different grapes. I can tell you what they are.
Really? Like over here to the left?
Yeah. You see where... I'm pretty sure that's it. Yeah, you see, if you go to the middle, that's... Yeah, it's right here. That's it.
Awesome.
Yep, this is it. So...
We did it, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep.
Beautiful.
I'm going to slow this down.
Right here. So this is it. It's 32 acres planted. And the Cabernet is at the top. Yeah, like I was saying, there's a tiny bit of Riesling on the side, depending on the way you look at it. I'm trying to figure out where... Yeah, the Riesling is that... So if you go to the top left, you see that tiny block? The tiny block on the left?
Yep.
Upper left, that's Riesling. And then above is Cabernet. And that right there is where like a lot of the events go on. So yeah, it's pretty cool. It's like kind of almost on the foothills of the mountains, which are called the Blue Mountains.
Why do they call the Blue Mountains?
I don't know. They look blue. I don't fucking know. But yeah, there's Petit Verdot and Merlot also, so it's really cool. But yeah, it's a really nice vineyard.
Let's fly.
It looks really nice. It looks beautiful just from the aerial view. I wanted to.
Right. Let me get
it's so perfect.
Let me get in a cockpit.
See, I'm just like waiting for you to park the plane and like get out and steal a car.
I think we can do that.
Like it's like GTA.
Oh yeah,
yes.
No, I think you could get out of this plane, but no, we can definitely like, tour
steal
around
a car.
there. We can steal.
Can you land on the vineyard his vineyard?
Yeah. I might need to plan this out a little bit. Let me see here.
So how do I get into owning my own vineyard, by the way? Because it really, truly is a little pipe dream I've always had. I watched a lot of movies that have made me think it's possible.
I mean,
does she have to do work after she owns the vineyard?
Well, you could get people to work for you.
I can. First of all, let me just name two movies: A Walk in the Clouds and French Kiss. Okay, I'm a dork.
So those are going to be the names of the vineyards?
No, those are the two movies. A Walk in the Clouds is with
okay.
Keanu. Sorry, Walk in the Clouds is with Keanu Reeves, and it's all about a vineyard. And French Kiss is with Kevin Kline. It's all about a
I
vineyard.
have not seen them.
Oh well, you got to put it on your list
Nope,
then.
I will. Um, yeah, it's pretty. I guess it's not that hard to own a vineyard, but like you got to make sure you have water rights and like certain areas are way more expensive. Obviously, if you get it in like Napa, and then even Walla Walla for Washington is pretty expensive. But um, yeah, it just depends where you wanna buy the land
Would
because
you
it'll be more
suggest?
expensive.
Would you suggest buying? Buying one that's already established, like something like that. Being rich,
Well,
basically.
Yeah, how
I
do you
mean,
become rich?
Yes. How do you become rich?
I don't know. You guys probably know that better than me.
Oh God. Oh
But
God.
but yeah, I don't know. I mean, it depends because it probably wouldn't be as fun um, buying a
Yeah.
vineyard because you want to plant the grapes. Obviously you like, and that also ones that will probably sell. Um, oh, that's things you can't see the vines, but
Yeah,
Oh, sorry.
that's our dog.
Sorry about the dog.
Well,
it's all good.
would you appreciate someone flying their Cessna through your vineyard?
Yeah. Oh yes, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure if that's cool.
Um,
You can kind of
So,
see,
yeah.
yeah.
it's kind of hard, but all those bros are just vertical shoot trained vines, and so they're all just separated in blocks. So like a few cab blocks, a few Petit Verdot blocks, a few Merlot blocks, and one Riesling block. And
What is this in the
yeah,
center here?
so that is actually gonna be
This looks like a weird cult gathering here.
so so a lot of the events are held there, but
Okay.
the winery is actually going to move there, and it's going to be really exciting. It's going to be the first like kind of underground barrel storage area
Oh, wow.
in
Oh, that's cool.
in Walla Walla. Yeah, so it'll be really cool, and that's going to be built next year. So
Wow.
yeah.
So how much longer do you got in school basically? But I mean, basically
Yeah.
what you're doing is you're doing this what you're going to be doing anyway for a career, which is awesome. A
Yeah,
lot of times you go to
kinda.
school and you're like learning Western Civ, and I'm like, what am I going to do with this right now?
Yeah, so once I'm done with a little internship, apprenticeship, like I have 2 more semesters of school, and then my plans. I'm trying to figure it out right now because I'm trying to decide between obviously the coronavirus fucked things up a bit,
Right.
but there's a little partnership with the program that you can like have a year in Bordeaux and intern at a winery there,
Right.
and get your bachelor's in enology and viticulture.
Right.
Or the other thing I was thinking about doing, I was kind of leaning more towards this, was doing an internship in the Willamette Valley, and then
Where's
in
that?
Oregon.
Oh, in Oregon.
In Oregon, it's kind of like Pinot Noir heaven, and then but also doing an internship abroad in New Zealand in the same year because it's at a different time of the year, their harvest,
Yeah.
because it's the southern hemisphere, so it'd be like kind of Marchish.
Right.
And so try to get like 2 harvests done, and like, I don't want to like rush into being, a winemaker, assistant winemaker, and acting like I know everything because
Right.
I don't. Like I there's still a lot to be exposed to, and once you really get into wine, you figure out how much you don't know about wine.
Well, I don't know. I don't know who else knows as much as you do and retain the memory that you do for every single wine fact you've told me at work before.
Yeah,
I'm
but
impressed.
no, I don't know. There's like a lot more to know, and especially with styles of winemaking, like there's so many different things, and that's what really interests me. Is like each decision you make during harvest, and even during aging and maturation of the wines, like is so crucial. And I want to see like every region what they do with specific grapes, because you do different things for like Pinot Noir versus like Cabernet, and so I want to try that, and then go from there. and I don't even know where I want to stay. If I want to stay in Walla Walla or if I want to go to Willamette, but I kind of want to stay in the Pacific Northwest.
Right.
And I guess it would be cool to do one in Portugal as well, but I don't know.
Yeah. I was gonna say something else, but we're obviously winding down the episode, and you can tell that because I always end up landing somewhere literally where a plane should not belong. But
yeah, if you want to, I don't know if you can fly to Châteauneuf-du-Pape in the southern Rhone. It's like all kind of rocky vineyards.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just vineyards that are just full of rocks. It's really crazy. And then like they hang the clusters really low, and then the rocks like radiate this heat to the grapes. And just what we're gonna say?
No, yeah. If you want, you could. If you want to stay on for a little longer, we could fly there. It's up to you guys.
Yeah, you can do it. Or you can fly wherever.
What's the no? Tell me what's that place then? What was it called again? I'm looking it up right now. You just said a whole bunch of you said a whole bunch of stuff in another language, and I was like, what?
Yeah. Châteauneuf-du-Pape. So it's like Chateau, then Neuf, N-U-F, and then du Pape.
Gotcha. And I just want to make it clear to everyone that I do know somewhat of French, but every time I did another flight and they said something like a place in France, and I had no idea what they were talking about, and made me feel bad about myself. I mean,
okay, but Matt, you speak 2 languages, so that's more than I do, so it's okay.
Yeah.
I guess.
No worries.
I guess I'm a genius. Okay, you're right. Okay, so let's see here.
Yeah.
So I found Châteauneuf-du-Pape. That's how you say it, right? Avignon Puget Airport. That seems like the
closest one.
The closest one, yeah. So we'll go there.
But yeah, I don't even know if I've really answered anything about winemaking.
You have? Are you kidding? Yeah. Also, did I just hear a wine bottle pop open? I feel like I did.
Yeah, I just opened something.
Brian's having more fun than us right now. Although, Leah, don't we have something in the old mom and pop cabinet?
We have tequila and
just pour me
and nothing else.
Just pour me straight up shots. We'll get crazy.
You just want a shot.
Just pour me just a full glass of tequila. Like people do that, right? Just in a big beer mug. Just tequila. Just like 27 shots in the glass here for me.
Yeah.
I wish we could remember the wine that we've been buying so we could tell Brian or get his opinion, because we've been buying this really cheap but amazing. It might be a Syrah.
So what's up with that? There's occasionally we get lucky, and to Leah's credit, she bought this huge bottle of, I don't know what it was, Leah, but it was good, and it wasn't like that cheap wine that gives you a headache. What?
I'm really good at picking really good wine with absolutely no knowledge. I just get lucky a lot of the time.
But what's the thing there, Brian? Like, why is there some wines that are like very cheap but they're pretty good?
I don't know. I mean, that's my favorite thing, is finding a good value. It's just a lot of times, like for example, like Napa wines, they're really expensive. Obviously because of the name, but also because of how much it is to buy fruit there. It's some crazy amount per ton. Man, I forgot what it was. It was like 5,000 a ton.
Yeah, because you were saying, because we talked about again, back to the conversation of me telling Brian that all I drink is Malbec all the time, and he's like, hey, maybe you want to open your worldview a little bit here, and it was like you mentioned French wines, which are really good, but I could just never find one that doesn't make me spend $200 for a bottle.
Yeah,
that's an exaggeration, but
yeah, definitely don't go to France other than certain regions if you want to get a good deal. Like if you want a good Cab Franc, go to Loire Valley, go to Chinon, or Saumur, Champagny. Those are kind of good values. You can get an amazing Cab Franc for I don't know, I'd say $18 to $30, and it's gonna be super herbal, red fruit driven. kind of light and like high acid, and you can almost drink it like with a little bit of a chill. It's really cool.
Okay.
But that's one of the best things about wine is finding a good value. Like Portugal obviously always has amazing values, but it's just how much things cost to make there, and kind of their I guess their reputation. Like that's why obviously I feel like a lot of our generation is not into Bordeaux, because it's so expensive, and Burgundy, which is a shame to get into because it's so expensive.
Right.
And so that's why.
What's a typical bottle of Burgundy run for?
It depends. I mean, it can go from like, I would say to get like a decent example of red Burgundy is maybe like $40 of like really like introductory level. And then, I mean, the highest is like the most expensive bottle, like producer in the world is Romani Conti. And that's like, I don't know, between like 15 and 25 grand a bottle.
Jeez.
Oh my God. That's crazy.
So by the way, we are at the airport and to the north of us, Brian, so you could tell us a little bit here. Hold on, let me just expand the map here. See over this river, right in this area is Chateauneuf, Dip Hop.
Yeah.
Whatever.
So
apparently there's no runways here either, but that's fine.
So a little bit about Chateauneuf du Pape. If you've ever had a kind of a GSM, if you guys are familiar with GSMs, it's kind of like
what's
a style of wine that it's kind of becoming trendy. It's always been around, but it's a Grenache, Syrah, and Mourvèdre, and they're usually like blended together. And so this is the southern Rhone of France. Before I was talking about the northern Rhone. In the northern Rhone, the red wine that's grown there is Syrah, and in the southern Rhone, it's a little bit hotter, and Syrah is kind of used as like kind of almost like a spice cabinet, and Grenache is like the major player, and so Syrah and Mourvèdre are like kind of the key supporting actors, and Grenache is a little bit higher alcohol, but it's like red fruit driven, a little spiciness. A lot of people in this type of wines get like herbs de Provence, and it can get high alcohol for sure. And then you add like Syrah and Mourvèdre to add a little bit of like body, tannin, maybe a little bit of meatiness, and then you make these kind of big bold reds that are like high octane, and that's what Chateauneuf du Pape is known for. And so GSMs, it's like if you like them, then this is like your area, and it's not even that expensive. Like some Chateauneuf du Papes are expensive, but in terms of like the wine world, it's still one of the better values. Like if you spend like $40 on a bottle here, you'll be, I don't know, you'll be $40 impressed.
You think it's worth it?
Yeah. So
I mean, I'm asking him. I'm such an asshole. Is it worth it? It better be good, bro.
Yeah, I mean that's a tough thing. Is like, see, with America versus Europe, like all the American wines are so expensive here. So like Walla Walla, to get a decent wine, you need to pay at least like $40 to $50.
Wow.
And
what's the average alcohol content on those?
On Chateauneuf du Pape or Walla Walla?
I guess give me both.
Yeah, so
I'm picking the highest one.
Yeah, Walla Walla for the reds. I think it's like usually 14.5, 14.7, 14.8, like around those. Chateauneuf du Pape can be like 15, almost 16 at times.
Wow.
And so Grenache is typically a high alcohol grape, and so it can
higher than port.
No,
I usually I get into port sometimes, especially around the holidays and Thanksgiving when I'm making cranberry sauce, and I'll just be drinking port while I'm cooking, and I'm like, oh, this is really high alcohol content.
Yeah, port's pretty awesome. I mean, port would be a little bit different because you fortify it with a neutral spirit, so typically like brandy, grappa, and so this is Grenache is just typically.
What does that mean, fortify? Fortify with a neutral spirit.
So yeah, you add brandy or grappa to the ferment
Mm-hmm.
to stop it, and so the yeast, they can't really live. Yeast are just crazy. Like yeast are so interesting, and a lot of them, can't live in high alcohol or high sugar um, ferments,
Right.
and so they die, and then you end up with this wine that has like I guess like 20% alcohol, because you're adding some of this neutral spirit, but it has the aromas of of those grapes that are in there, which are
Okay.
typically those Portuguese port grapes like Touriga Nacional and Tinta Roriz, which is also known as Tempranillo in Spain.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah.
By the way, we're flying over Chateau Nerf.
Yeah.
So I don't
Yeah,
know if
shut
there's
enough to
anything you
pop.
wanna point anything out here. This is literally.
Yeah. So hopefully, I mean, one of the wineries you could find is like Chateau de Bacastel. It's a pretty famous one. But if you find any rocky regions, that's where a lot of the vineyards are, and it's yeah, it's a pretty cool little place. Um, there's kind of the river that separates everything, but
Well, the thing about
yeah,
I mean, last time I was in France, and I think I was in I was in near Montmartre, maybe something like that. I was in a
yeah.
couple places. Um, I can't remember the wine I tasted there, but like all the food in the rural areas, not Paris, which is basically like, America retail, like typical food. But like,
Yeah.
have you?
What a bummer.
Yeah, Paris. Well, Paris is touristy and whatever, but the rural areas are just like the food's amazing. Have you like been to France recently, Brian, or like just
No.
you haven't been to France ever?
Nope.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Is
wish I
that
could go,
is that
man.
one of your places you want to go?
Yeah, for sure. Like, yeah, I wish I could go to the Rhone. It would be really cool. Obviously, like Burgundy would be awesome, but yeah, it's just. I mean, I want to go to a lot of places, so hopefully
Well,
one day.
next time we'll fly to Burgundy, and
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. You don't even have to go there. But sorry, what were you saying before? I'll just fly around here.
I don't even know, man. My memory
Yeah,
sucks.
I know. I interrupted you.
But I think that's the Rhone River. The wineries are a little bit farther out. I think we're going farther out. But
Yeah.
if we can see, like, if anybody looks up Shut Enough to Pop vineyards, it's really cool. It's just these vines growing in rocks, and it's really interesting. And they get a ton of heat. It's like hotter down in that area of France as well.
Yeah.
In Grenache grows there as well. Here we grow Grenache, and we refer to it as like the Pinot of the desert,
Mm-hmm.
because it's kind of got a little bit of a lighter body to it, but it has those red fruit aromas.
Yeah.
But the only difference is that it has that high alcohol. It has some of that heat. And yeah, it's the only problem here is it doesn't grow as well because it's kind of it gets fucked by the frost.
Right.
So Walla Walla, the difference between Walla Walla and Southern Rhone, we grow some of the grapes that they grow here, but we get like a kill frost, a kill freeze like every 7 years or something.
And
that sounds like a superhero.
I know, and you never know when to expect it, basically.
Not really. Like last year during harvest, we had 2 freezes that really messed with a lot of the grapes. So if you picked your grapes like after, I don't know if it was like October 4th, I don't remember when it was, but it was like, depending on where you were, if you were lower on like the valley floor,
Mm-hmm.
it was like you had a hard time. Like some of your vines may have gotten fucked up.
Right.
So
let me ask you this question.
Like your random date that you just threw out was literally my birthday.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like October 4th
creepy.
is my birthday. Remember, Matt? Don't forget. Just saying.
What? I totally missed that birthday. I'll write down Google Calendar later. Now I know what you mean by the frost freeze because Lee and I had a Stardew Valley farm, and we didn't know that the fall came a month later and killed all our crops. We were very upset.
I cried.
That's another video. Anyway, so no,
I was like, where is it?
I'll show it to you later. It looks like an 8-bit game.
Yeah.
No, when I was in France, I remember going to this record producer's house, and they lived in this like neighborhood that I think was built on an old vineyard because everyone's houses were super narrow with like really tall walls, and I think that's that's a type of vineyard, right? Like tall walls where you would grow the vines. Is that correct? It just seemed very odd how they made the houses. Very narrow. I think they just built it on top of that.
I don't know, man. I don't know why they would do that. Could be.
That sounds weird.
Yeah.
It's just very narrow backyards with tall walls. I think that's what he said. He wasn't growing grapes though. He was growing something else, which was illegal. But that's another story for another day.
Oh, it looks like we're coming across some vineyards. What were you saying?
I was going to ask. It's kind of probably a stupid question, but I just thought of it. Can you just have, one plant, in your yard and just kind of like make a bottle of wine once a year? Is that a possible thing that a person could do, or do you have to have a full-blown vineyard to?
I feel like you just insulted Brian.
You could no, not at all. You could definitely have like a couple vines in your backyard. Like the last apartment that I was at here, there was a couple vines growing along the fence. And I mean, it depends on how heavy you leave like the clusters, like, because that's going to depend on how, I guess, concentrated the fruit is. But I know a couple people that just have like, I don't know, 10 vines in their backyard or just random stuff. And I mean, I don't know how many bottles that will produce, but you don't have to have a whole vineyard. You just still have to worry about the same shit, like and freezes and everything.
How difficult is winemaking versus like people that have, I've had a couple friends make their own beer and it just looked like it was a nightmare because it was so delicate with the yeast and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I love beer. I don't know, not even like a quarter of what I know about winemaking, about beer. I just kind of when I went into winemaking, it was just like a narrow tunnel and did not accept distractions.
Right.
And so with the only thing I can say is with wine, you get one shot a year to make it. Like if a lot of these people, like I know a producer in California that because of these fires, for example, they usually make like big Zinfandels, that are like 15% alcohol. You got to wait till they're like ripened, like, so they ripen later, like a little bit later and everything. And so because of these fires, they had to pick everything early and use it for rosé and make no red wine. And there goes the 2020 vintage.
Right.
And so basically you're losing money also because rosé sells for like, I don't know, $15 to $25. And then, your kind of your premium red wine can sell more expensive. And so I think you just get less of a chance with wine. Beer is really interesting as well. Like I said, I don't know enough to speak about it, but I feel that wine is the most complex beverage. I feel like it has so many different aromatic compounds going on in it that just make it so interesting. And the chemistry in the bottle as it evolves is just crazy. And the just the Bordeaux varieties with like their pyrazines and the Syrah with like the black pepper aromas. It's just really crazy, like how kind of unique it can get once you really dive deep into it. Because you go into like Pinot Noir and there's like so many different clones of Pinot Noir.
Right.
And then same thing with like Syrah, and everything. And it just makes it so interesting. And so people use that in such a interesting way. Like, because for example, in Willamette Valley, they'll have like the 777 clone, the Pomard clone, and they'll.
Is that good to be clone?
To have like different clones?
Yeah. Is it good to be called a clone?
Well, no. So like Pinot Noir or like Syrah, right? Like
Yeah.
if you go even down, I guess so this is project management for you. So like, let's create a little like chart. So it'll be like Vitis vinifera is like, there's the grapes, right? Like grapevines, and then
Right.
there's like Vitis vinifera is the European or Eurasian vine, and that's where all those like Syrah, Pinot, Cabernet, Chardonnay. That's where all those guys hang out. And
Okay.
then there's like the Muscadine grape, which is like this weird grape that's in the southern that's growing a lot in like South Carolina and North Carolina and all in like Georgia and Florida. And then there's like Vitis labrusca and Vitis riparia, which is like table grapes. And then once you get into Vitis vinifera, you get into Cabernet, you get into Pinot, whatever. And then further down from that, you have like clones from there. And so then there's like clone 4, clone 6 for Cabernet. There's like Tablas Creek clone for Syrah. There's Joseph Phelps clone for Syrah. And all of those kind of have different features. They kind of have like disease resistance, or maybe one of them shows a more savory side.
So are you talking about like it's like crossbreeding grapes or something, like hybrid grapes?
Well, that's another thing altogether. Is that
Okay.
there is hybrid grapes, but no. So clones are an interesting thing, like because clones are like, let's say you pick some Pomard clone and you pick some like 777 clone for Pinot, then you can use them kind of as a blending thing for making your wine.
Right.
You see, one has like higher acidity and one has more of a red fruit character, and you blend them.
So do you do you like in your job, do you test and do you like do taste tests and kind of like perfume, like try to create different tastes or just balance it out?
Yeah, so that's at the end when it's before bottling. Like you kind of figure out a blend you want. So like, for example, with Chardonnay, we did that. We were like stirring the dead yeast a lot, and that kind of creates this bready character when you're stirring the lees. And then maybe you do that for one, or you do that for all of them, and then one of them is like in new French oak, so that will get a little bit of that oaky character, and you kind of blend them all together at the end and see which one. I mean, you do a little bit like of a trial blending with small amounts to see what you like, and then you do it in the bigger scale, And so another thing that was really cool at my last harvest was with Syrah, and it was really interesting. He would do 3 picks for his premier vineyards. 3 picks. So he would pick the first one kind of early to get a little bit higher acidity and get some more of those like red fruit aromas. And then he would get a middle pick, so like the second pick, which would kind of be like that sweet spot that he was thinking. Right. And then he would get the third pick, which would be a little bit more riper fruits, darker fruits, lower acidity, a little bit softer in the mouthfeel, but not as fresh in the mouth. So, and then he kind of blends those at the end, and then he also decides the oak program. What are you going to do with the oak program or fermentation? Is one going to go in concrete? Is one going to go in new oak? One going to go in neutral oak? One going to go in clay or amphora or stainless steel? Right. And then at the end, he figures out like, hey, I like this from this one, and then he blends them, and then that's when he bottles it and sells it.
Wow.
So when you make it like and pick the wines and you put them in the barrels and everything, there's other ingredients, obviously, right, that you have to put in there, or is it just...
I mean, that depends. That goes down the like conversation of natural winemaking. Everybody makes it differently. Like if you grow grapes in like a cool climate. Like back in the day in Burgundy, it was so cold and Pinot's a grape that you grow in cooler climates. You wouldn't reach like those sugar levels to get like little higher alcohol or like, and so they would actually add sugar to their fermentation must. Whereas here and in California, it's the opposite, where you can add like water because the sugar is so high. You add water and tartaric acid to kind of like even things out and bring the alcohol a little bit down so it doesn't taste as hot.
Right.
And so you can do that if you want, but if you're doing natural winemaking, they're not going to add any cultured yeast. So no yeast packet or anything. It's just going to be that spontaneous fermentation with the like completely unique like population of yeast. It's like we have a lab at the school, and it's so cool, man. There's this one test. It's called the scorpion test, and you test for all the different yeasts that are living in your fermentation, and it's so interesting. And
Wow,
you're like, how did that yeast get in there? You know?
So basically, just like it's just the grapes just fermenting, basically, right? That's, I mean,
oh yeah, it's just they're just doing it on their own. The only problem about that is that like when they're just a little bit more unpredictable. When you add like a yeast, a cultured yeast, like a really popular one is like EC 1118. That's a big one because it's kind of a neutral yeast. It doesn't really add any aroma, it doesn't do anything. It just kind of finishes the job. And with those guys, you're adding like this like super, jacked like marine guy to your fermentation, and he's he needs a ton of food, so you give him a ton of nutrient, whereas like when you're getting a natural fermentation, they're a little bit more unpredictable. They're taking their time, they're just chilling. It's just like a bunch of like, I don't know, this is a weird analogy, but like a bunch of potheads in there. They're super artistic and they have a bunch of funky flavors, and they need like less food, but they're going to take their time. Then they might be unpredictable and might just stop altogether. So you have to treat them really, really nice and like and keep an eye on them. And as with cultured yeast and just giving them food, it might be like a pretty straight profile in terms of aroma and like texture.
Right.
But they're going to get the job done. There's going to be no issues.
Right.
So the other thing with natural winemaking, you're not going to add any enzymes. So like nothing to like get more juice, because you can add like pectin enzymes also to like kind of make the berries kind of like get more juice from the berries.
Right. So two questions.
Yeah.
No, sorry. Two questions for you then. I just hear my echo a little bit, but do you prefer natural wine? And how can you tell when you go into a store what's been naturally made?
Well, yeah, I mean, the thing about natural wines, it's like, and I know, it's a lot like a lot of things in this world. They're going to tell you it's natural because they won't shut the fuck up that it's natural.
I knew it.
But I love some natural wines. Some of my favorite wines are natural. But like one producer, if you can seek them out, that is so fucking interesting and awesome, is Okota Barrels from Australia. It's just some of the most fascinating wines. If you really want to like just make your mind, like your head explode in terms of what wines like, get Okota Barrels. But there's been so many natural wines that I've had that just like suck, that are just horrible. Because people add like a really minimal amount of sulfur or none, and that's really what helps these wines age. And there's just like this misconception. Well, there's this misconception that sulfur is just bad for everybody, and that sulfites is what's causing my headaches. And it's like sulfites is just such a minimal population amount is allergic to sulfur dioxide or sulfites in wine. Because I mean, sulfites are in higher amounts in like dried fruits, like and in French fries and stuff, and so the big things that are really causing headaches, and sorry to go on a rant, but it's like obviously high alcohol, and then like these things called like biogenic amines that occur and specifically like red wines or in some like white wines that go through malolactic fermentation. And biogenic amines are things like tyrosine or histamine. And so those are what can cause some headaches also. But
is that why some wines give you headaches when you drink them a lot and you drink a lot? I feel like some wines can give you headaches.
I thought that was sugar, the sugar content.
Well, no? It could be, definitely could be sugar. I don't know if you're drinking any wines with sugar, like maybe some sparkling or some like Riesling or something. Yeah, maybe
it's like, also the crappy wines that are super sugary.
No, but I mean, biogenic amines, so like histamine or tyrosine can do it. High alcohol, obviously, but
Brian's like, don't get drunk, Matt. Just control your drinking.
Yeah, I don't like getting drunk. It's weird because I'm into wine and winemaking, and even my parents were like, careful, like, yo, he's getting into wine, and I just hate getting drunk. I hate it.
Also, we're past that age at this point. and I'm pushing 40, so I shouldn't.
Yeah. The other thing I was gonna say about biogenic amines is that they're pretty cool when they're produced, because sometimes, like, and it's gonna sound weird if you know what these are, but like putrescine or cadaverine are really interesting. Those things are things you see in like rotted flesh or rotted meat.
Sounds like it, yeah.
But sometimes in wines like Syrah, you'll get these like aromas of like cured meats, and that's from high amounts of that. Yeah,
that's super interesting, man.
Yeah, so it's just random shit. I just went on a rant there. I don't even remember what I said.
No, I loved it.
Hopefully
it was great.
Useful. That's just what happens, and I think Matt just, I don't know.
Well, you're very passionate too. You're very passionate, and it's obvious. So that's awesome, you know.
Yeah, it's a cool topic.
It's definitely cool. I think you know, in the future, I definitely want to bring you back on, because I have a lot of people that probably have a lot of questions for you. But Leah, were you going to ask something? Because I did have a question.
No, I'm just. It's nice to learn about it, because you know I just drink so much of it, but now I actually have a couple tidbits I can say to sound smart.
I guess, yeah. Like,
I hope I remember half of it.
I'm surprised any of your audience would even want to talk about wine. And don't they usually talk about like music or tech or gaming?
I don't know what my audience is, but they've been. We're gonna be talking about. We're gonna have Kent on, actually. You know.
Oh, really? How's Kent doing, man?
He's doing great.
He's a good guy.
He was a great. Yeah, I mean, I talked I'm talking about him like he's dead right now. No, he's alive.
He was a great guy.
Well, I just remember he left or something, the company.
Yeah.
So
yeah, so but he's near me. So once this COVID thing gets lifted, we'll definitely gonna.
He was a good guy. Yeah, you know, one of the things I missed about that job is like, and I wanted to say this, I want to remember to say this, is like, I didn't really.
And by the way, you're still being recorded, so.
Yeah, I don't give a fuck. So like, no, I want to say, like, I didn't quite like enjoy the position as much.
Yeah.
But I did enjoy some of the people. You know, like, obviously it was awesome working with you,
right.
And we had such great times, and then like. Working with the rest of our buddies in that little kind of area in the corner, it was so awesome. It was just, I was surprised that I did end up with like a little group like that, and you know, I did.
It's rare to work with people you actually like.
Yeah, I miss those like little those little Fridays we did with the beers, the craft beers.
Oh, those were great. Yeah, and it was great when we had more of the campus there that we worked on, that we would sneak off into a different part of it.
Yep.
That had some very nice places. Yeah, it's a little different now, but definitely, man, I definitely want to bring you back on, like when we get Kent on, or do something that I think we can all just talk on. But we've done a couple episodes, and it's just like, I guarantee you a lot of topics people may not care about, but I'm going to title this like all things wine or winemaking, and if they're interested, then you just gave them the encyclopedia rundown on it, which is great.
Yeah, I mean, didn't you have an episode on Elizabethan history?
Yes, we did. And I think more people are tuning into this one than the other one. No, the other one was good too.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I was gonna say, yeah, go ahead, Brian.
No, you can go ahead.
No, I was gonna ask you one final question about wine, but I want you to go ahead first as we fly around some part of France, I think, right?
Is
France? I'm not sure.
I don't know. I guess this is probably Avignon.
This looks awesome right now, though.
Yeah. Yeah. Europe looks cool. I didn't have anything to say, man. I don't know. I was probably making sounds, and it sounded like I was gonna say something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, that's allowed. So we're gonna find a highway to land on soon, because this podcast is reckless with flying. But I was gonna ask you, like, what do you recommend if I want something that's doesn't have an aftertaste? And I don't know what to call that. I probably asked you this before. It doesn't have an aftertaste, is somewhat nutty, not too sweet, and kind of oaky.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, he knows.
And kind of what?
Oaky.
Oaky.
Yeah. Got like a little oaky scent, but it's not too strong, but it's not too light either.
Okay. So
very
for
specific.
I did like and I'll tell you one thing. I did like the Chianti Rufino a lot. That's one of the things you recommended me.
So okay, wait a minute. If you like the Chianti, okay,
Yeah.
first of all, the nuttiness, I don't know, like, because that could come from oak, you know.
Right.
And so
could come from the wood. Right.
I'm not a huge fan of oak. Like sometimes it's integrated well, but I like, you know, when the fruit and the place just kind of like tells the story instead of the oak. Sometimes I feel like oak can kind of mask an issue with winemaking or just viticulture. But if you like Chianti, you know, in terms of value, you could always look at, you know, Chianti Classico or Morellino di Scansano for value wines. If you want a little bit of like a higher, I guess, higher quality wine for like maybe $5, $10 more, try Rosso di Montalcino.
Okay.
And then if you really want to go higher up, you could try Brunello di Montalcino, and those are all from the same grape. Those are all from Sangiovese. So Chianti is from Sangiovese. It's just Brunello is a clone of it. And it's the best. Brunello is the best clone. So whenever people talk about Sangiovese, you know, the best of the best is Brunello di Montalcino. And so it's a really, really cool wine, and they can age forever. But it's really, really enjoyable, and it's just super different. Yeah. So if you like that, you could try that if you want to splurge one day. But if you ever get the, you know, Chianti Classico is always a good bet, or Morellino di Scansano, those are good. But it depends. I don't know. Like, there's a ton of different wines that you can get. I'm trying to think of like stuff you would like. Let's see. I mean, if you like oak in your wines, you know, Rioja is always a good bet.
That sounds Spanish.
It is Spanish. And let's see what else.
Good thing I didn't land there. There's an on-ramp there. I was gonna ask Leah if she wanted to ask Leah. Do you want to ask any recommendations for, like, describe the taste that you want?
I mean, drunk. How do you describe drunk? No.
High alcohol.
No, I'm actually at the point now too where I don't like getting drunk, and I can't even get drunk. I just get tired and go to bed.
Her tolerance is quite high.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've settled into wines that I've liked. Like, I really like a dry Riesling, and I really like I don't like anything too sweet. Basically, I kind of lean towards more dry, and I drink with the seasons.
Yeah.
So I mean, we're getting into winter, so I'll be drinking more red wine. I usually drink white wine in the summertime. I mean, I'm pretty basic.
Yeah. It doesn't sound basic. Dry Riesling is like actually one of the coolest wines to like, because it's actually, for me, it's like the white grape that is kind of like Syrah, where it just kind of tells the story of the place if it's dry, you know. And so I don't know if you like dry Riesling. And first of all, I don't know, I'm not a sommelier, so like the wine recommendations, take them with a grain of salt. Like, I just kind of know some stuff about wines, but the dry Rieslings, if you want a drier style, obviously Alsace in northern France is like a big area for drier style. They have a little bit fuller bodied, but they do have some of this like petrol note, kind of like gasoline petrol, but in a pleasant way. Riesling
pleasant gasoline. That's new.
Yeah. So Riesling is unique in that it can kind of develop this aromatic compound called TDN, and it can get this like petrol gasoline note when the wines age and when they're exposed to sun. Like, the clusters are exposed to sun at a higher than normal amount. But it's actually quite pleasant and adds some complexity to the wine. So you might find that in there. But another region that's kind of like been exciting and under the radar, and you may be able to find some in Massachusetts, is the Finger Lakes in New York. in northern New York. They have some really mineral-driven Rieslings that are really exciting. So like Dr. Constantine Frank and is in Cuca Lake, and then Ermin J. Weimer in Seneca Lake. Those are exciting. And I've been really liking the Rieslings from Willamette Valley, but those are kind of harder to get because everything you see from Willamette is Pinot.
Yep.
Yeah. So, but dry Riesling is so awesome. Even Australian dry Riesling, if you can find an Australian Riesling that's dry from the Clare Valley or the Eden Valley or something, it's really interesting. It's got like this big lime note, and it's just like super zingy with acidity. Yeah, I don't know. Those are cool.
Good.
Yeah, those are cool places for Riesling.
Well, I don't know about you, but Brian just made me want to drink now.
Yeah, I just wrote all that down, even though we're recording this like for back. But I still wrote it all down.
Yeah, we're in the middle of a neighborhood now. All right, so
look at that.
Yeah, we've been driving around for a while here. So I'm gonna leave the episode there because I think that was a lot of good wine stuff when people hear this back.
I guess.
No, it was great, man. I'm shocked by, not shocked because I should know, but I'm just amazed, dude, of how much you know and remember all this stuff, just about everything that you just said. But I really appreciate you being on this episode here. We'll say goodbye after I tell everyone that we're ending this, but thanks everyone for joining. We'll see you next time. Thanks, Leo.
Guys.
Thanks, Brian.